Tech Talk Tuesday, number 147. Hey, Carlos. How you guys? Thank you for clicking in here. Got another episode coming up right now. 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. I'm pretty sure that it is nighttime in Europe and tomorrow in Australia. Hey, Brian. Lindsay, Scott, yep, there you guys are. Thank you all for watching. No, I'm sorry you weren't first today, Brian. But you were really close, like top 10. Bruce, Chuck, hey Lindsay, hey Aaron. Got cool stuff to tell you all about today. I know I say that every week. Line them up, let's go. Come on, Charles, Ricky, Wes. Come on in. I got stuff to show y'all, got stuff to talk about. And I don't want to run my mouth a whole bunch without all the folks. Hey, Greg. Hey, Alan. Without many folks on here, if it's only going to be a few of us, that's fine. But you're right, Bruce. Good to see you, my friend. This will go on YouTube as Tech Talk number 147. Jackie will save it. I'll put it on Star Racing page tomorrow afternoon, and this is live on my Facebook page. That's where you are right now if you're seeing this live. Jackie records this so we can play it for folks later, and you can also go back and see it on my page live about any time. Should I do something else with Tech Talk Tuesday? Should I post it somewhere else? Should I be somewhere else? I don't know. That doesn't really matter that much to me. I know that I've been chasing these rainbows and chasing these pots of gold for all these years, in my 5th decade of hot rod engines now, and I love sharing this information with you guys. Sometimes I get to talk to some of you fellows get some really great feedback from some of you. Hey, Mike. Hey, Doug. Hey, Joe. So anyway, let's line up. Come on in, y'all. This is it. It's a little bit later now, 6 o'clock, a little after 6. Thank y'all, Joe. Thank you all for watching. I wanted you to notice that it is Tech Talk Tuesday, number 147. I also have a few little things I want to talk about, some machines and equipment. Hey, Dyno, I do also want to share with you guys the motorcycle that I've been telling you about all these last few weeks. Blue 50, the ex-police bike I'm making my next Harley drag bike hot rod out of. It will be street driven some. I will ride it. People ask me all the time, what gasoline, what compression ratio, are you going to ride it? Is it a touring bike? Blah, blah, blah. No, listen, it is my hot rod. I'm going to use it to go where I want to go when. It will have insurance, a tag. It will be registered. It will run hot and heavy traffic. It won't get very good gas mileage. It's going to have high compression and big horsepower, are my hopes and dreams. And I will have racing gas in it, and I will ride it around as long as the engine doesn't get hot. So I'm an engine guy. I take care of the engine. I don't run them till they run over parts. I did that for 30 or 40 years, and I'm tired of running over parts. So this will be the new deal. If we need somebody to sign up to watch the show, here is a 4.6 4-valve piston that will go into Blue 50, custom made for us. Let's see if anybody will line up. Yes, it says Star Racing on it. Star Racing is the engine company that I ran for 40-something years, and now we sell camshafts and cylinder head parts for Milwaukee 8s and a few twin cams. This is the front piston. It has a full skirt on both sides, so that I talked about this last week, the major thrust will have a full skirt to work on the back of the cylinder, and the minor thrust is fine. It's just there. To look at the rear piston, this is the rear piston for that same deal. This is the major thrust, which is the back of the rear piston, has a full skirt to handle all the load on the back of the cylinder, and the front of the rear piston is where the minor thrust goes, so we have it notched. And when they are near the bottom, this is how they look. Somewhere near the bottom, where the front piston can come back and forth by it, and the rear piston has notch to clear it. Some folks don't like that, but please let me tell you, these pistons are perfectly balanced. They are also center balanced, which that's a new term for some of you, is where you can set it on a stick. You can put it in a lathe and put a little dimple right here, and you can stand up a stick in a vise or a pick, and you can stand this piston up on it and it will balance perfectly left to right, front to rear, so it is center balance. Also, the front and rear weigh the same thing. Just so more info to share with you. All right, talk about these machines. I've had a lot of people ask me and talk to me about the years, 40-something years I was in the high-performance engine building business, and we had engine dynos, 2 or 3 different ones. I'll talk about that. We have flow benches, several models along the way. We had an engine balancer, Cam Pro Plus, 5-axis Haas machine for porting heads, seat and guide machine, profilometers, Spintrons, spring testers, and I stopped here because now that I'm retired, I was sitting in my chair today and I was thinking back. I was like, okay, I had that. Also, we had lots of equipment. And some of the equipment we didn't need, but everywhere we went and everybody we talked to said, if you're going to be a professional engine builder, you need one of these. If you're going to be a professional engine builder, you need one of these. 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 Well, there are a lot of professional engine builders on here right now that win races, set records, that don't have this stuff. But these are specialty items that I'm going to cover with you guys that know what I'm talking about, and some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to give you my angle on this just for information for just a few minutes. I also had Jackie print out some pieces so you could see what my Superflow, one of my last engine dynos, looked like, where you put the V8 on the stand, plug it in here, and then it goes out to a control console. This was a really, really nice engine dyno. We had the DTS, the Superflow, we had the Superflow 2000, we had the 901. We started off with the Stuska with the handbrake on it, where you dialed in the water, and it had a giant Toledo scale that would show you the foot-pounds, and it had a tach to tell you the RPM. That's one we had, was a engine dyno. Another one is the 1020 flow bench, the best flow bench we could buy. We also had an engine balancer for us to balance crankshafts and component or reciprocating and rotating parts. We also still have the Cam Pro Plus and the Haas 5-axis machine for porting cylinder heads. And then, of course, the Surdy seat and guide machine, which was really awesome. And then a Spintron, which was a big 75 horse or 100 horse electric motor that will spin your engine to any RPM you want, and you can use a laser, high-speed camera, and I'll talk a little bit about that you can use to gather some great data and learn with. Also, one of the most common ones is the regular old valve spring tester. You see engine shops where guys put cylinder heads together, they have one of these, and this is what I wanted to say, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that just because a man owns these things doesn't mean that they're useful to him. I've been racing my whole life, professional racing, made my life, paid for my family's lifestyle. We bought homes and clothes and food and cars and trucks and shops and equipment through racing our whole life. That's the only job that I've ever had, is racing, since I was a teenager. So I'm very fortunate, very thankful that I was able to make a living in this genre. Now, I wanted to tell you that in my career today, when I see a racing team that doesn't have one of these, buys one, when they buy an engine dyno, which is a very, very valuable tool. If the guy that's winning or running near the front buys one of these, this is just a little bit jackwagon comment, but this is what I've seen in my career, is the team that buys this, they usually go bye-bye. They go to the back. If they were running like top 4, get a dyno, they usually disappear, because this engine dyno right here, and you'll hear a common thread here, this gives you results. You put it on the dynamometer, you put the engine on, you run it, and it gives you a power curve. It tells you what RPM it had the power, what RPM it didn't have the power, and the rate of change through the RPM range. Just because it gives you that data doesn't mean that it will make you run better. Another one, this is one of my favorites right here. When you run good and you're buying high-performance, high-quality cylinder heads from a cylinder head expert, and you buy your own flow bench, what I see happen in the first year is the guy that was running near the front, he goes back over here in the back of the pack, because this right here does not tell you what to do. It tells you what happened. This is like a photograph. This doesn't tell you how to pose. This just tells you, this is a photo of what your cylinder head does. It tells you what it flows. It tells you what lift it flows. But it doesn't give you instructions how to make more power. It just gives you results. And I try to say it, and I just please, oh, listen, you guys that own all this stuff and you guys that are wanting to buy this stuff, don't listen to me giving you some advice not to do it or you shouldn't do it. No. I'm just giving you some advice or some experience based on things I've lived through in my career. The flow bench, wonderful tool. It's like a bathroom scale. You don't know what you weigh without one. This right here, when you step on the scales in the bathroom in the morning and it says you weigh 200, it doesn't say why or what to do to change it from 200. It doesn't tell you how to go 210. It doesn't tell you how to go 190. It gives you a result. It doesn't tell you what to do. This balancer right here. This balancer is a great machine that you put the crankshaft on, the bob weights of all your cylinders, and you spin it up to some RPM that the software says spin it to, and it will tell you, it's got some really high-sensitive bearings in here, and it shakes at some point, and it gives you a light that comes on and points to a place where you need to drill a hole or add material to make it smooth at 500 RPM on the balancer. Now, the balancer doesn't tell you what it's going to do at 10,000 or 14,000 RPM. It is just a static machine. Yes, it dynamically balances, but it doesn't tell you exactly where the weight needs to go to suit the application that you're using. It tells you what to do to suit a book that's 50, 60, 100 years old. I have one, owned one, spent a lot of money on them, balanced a lot of engines, had great success, but it is a result. It doesn't tell you what to do to go faster. It tells you how to, at the RPM you're checking it, how to get it to quit shaking on this balance machine so it will run smooth on the balance machine. Does it make it run better in the engine? Does the engine go smoother? Maybe. Depends on what you balance it to. You balance it to 40%, 45%, 50%, 55%, 60% balance factor. It only will give you a result of the work you did. It doesn't tell you what to do to make it go faster. Cam Pro Plus, this is another one. People that don't know much about camshafts, they know how to degree them, they learn the hard way, they put them in, the engines, they go fast, they make power, then they buy somebody says, well, you need a Cam Pro Plus. Okay, they buy a Cam Pro Plus, put the cam in it, they turn it over, it measures it, it puts all the stuff in numerical, graphical data so you can have a benchmark of what you have now. But it never says what to do to make it better. This is like a bathroom scale. It tells you how much you weigh, doesn't tell you how to change your weight. You can order a cam with a different grind and it will spin differently on here and it will show you different results, but it doesn't tell you whether it goes faster or not. The 5-axis machine, when we got a little bit of sponsorship money back in 2000 and 2005, between 2000 and 2005, we bought the most expensive Haas machine we could buy because all the fast guys had one. This is for porting cylinder heads and making racing parts. Well, we owned one, we paid for it. I ended up selling it, very little use. Sold it for about half price. It's not the machine that makes you go fast. This right here, and I got to say something about this CNC machine. What a beautiful job it does, but you got to give it something to copy. It will not make anything for you that you don't tell it to make. You don't just put a piece of material in there and say, make me a world champion cylinder head. Put a piece of material in there and say, make me a monster head. You can't bolt the number one qualifier head in there and say, make it go 200s quicker. You have to tell this machine what to do. So it's not all about the machine. The machine is just does what you tell it to. Seat and guide machine. Very common, very popular. This is the 30 like we had. We probably made lots and lots of money with this 30 machine. Ron still has it over at his place in Georgia. Ron's probably got 20 or 30 years behind that wheel right there. Got him a real cool John Myers tribute roundel in the middle. And this right here made us a lot of money. We put seats in every kind of head. We did Pro My car heads, Pro Stock car heads. We did Viper heads. We did Pro Stock motorcycle, street bike, Harleys, Hayabusas. We did good with this seat and guide machine. But once again, you have to do what you want to with the machine. You set the tool, you set the sizes, and you cut it and you have to cut it to the speed you want to cut it at. This machine will not make you go faster. It is only gives you the output of the input you give it. Profilometer, this is one of my favorites right here. A guy asked me the other day, good friend, smart business guy, smart engine guy, he asked me, he said, when you were building engines professionally and you were winning races, did you own a profilometer? And I could tell you how us down in the country, we call this a profile meter. This would measure the profile of the cylinder wall, and it would, when you would hone it and you check, put the stylus down there, it will take the reading of the roughness or the smoothness or the surface finish of the cylinder wall or whatever you put it on, and it will print out. It will give you real-time data, and it will print out a result of what the cylinder has. Let's blow one up right quick and let you see. When you look at the cylinder wall where it's honed, it looks like this. I'm gonna get one over here. This cylinder right here, this cylinder looks smooth, looks like it has a really great finish, and it does. And when I put my profilometer in it and let it give me a reading of what I have, this is what it looks like. That's what that beautiful cylinder wall looks like. These are below the surface. These are the RVK. This is the valleys that hold oil. The peaks are PKs. And the RA is the average of all of these. Gives us the smoothness number, like an RA of, like this compensator right here might have an RA of 100, and this one right here might have an RA of 40. It's a smoother finish, so it's got a lower number. And that's really serious over-exaggeration. But the profilometer tells you the result of your hone work, your cylinders, the work you did to hone. It doesn't tell you how to go fast. Profilometer, if you own 1, 2, or 5 of them, they will not help you go fast. They will only give you a result. The common denominator, once we finish talking about these machines, I'm going to go into for a minute. The next one on my list is the Spintron. This is an expensive piece, highly equipped, it's highly, optioned. It is instrumented in a way where you can use a laser, a strobe. You can have a high-speed camera. You can measure the valve movement. You can measure all kind of things. But what a man would do is buy this Spintron. It has a 75 horsepower electric motor on it, and it takes 443 phase. You have to put a whole new meter on your building and run 440 in it. This cable right here, that's got a lot of electricity in it. But you think about the engine, the motor on your air compressor is 10 horse, 20 horse, 5 horse. This is 100 horsepower electric motor, and you have to have a separate power service to your building to run it. And this, you put an engine on here, put the engine on here, put a crankshaft or a dummy crankshaft in it, and it will spin the valve train, and you can check all kind of cool things. But this machine right here, I owned one. I had it in our shop at Star Racing, and we got a lot of jobs because of it. But I sold it and almost gave it away. Spring tester, I showed you that already. You got to have one of those. But let's back up and go through each machine for a minute. Oh, common denominator is the people that run these. The people. The machines are awesome. What makes this work, is the information that you give the machine and the people you have running the machine and the data inputted to get data out that can be understood and used to maybe go faster. Engine dyno. First thing I see guys go wrong is they take their favorite engine, whatever it is, and they dyno it, and it makes, say, just call a number out. Say it makes 500 horsepower. So they port cylinder heads with their flow bench, their new flow bench. They flow the heads, flows 400 CFM. They said, okay, I'm going to keep cutting this until it flows 410. Now I got 10 CFM, so then they put it back on the dyno, and now it makes 490 horsepower. Okay, flow bench said that it made more airflow, so it was going to make more power, but it didn't. So then they go back and they put epoxy back where they cut it, and now it flows 400 again. Put it back on the dyno, it flows 500. It makes 500 horsepower again. It gives us the results of the work we did. It doesn't tell us what to do. Then one day, you say, well, that worked. I put epoxy in. So they put a lot more epoxy in. Now it doesn't flow 400 anymore. It only flows 380. Put it back on the dyno. Now it makes 510. These are just examples. It doesn't always make sense, but it is always results. And what I have found over the years is a guy that gets the new engine dyno and he stops using all his brain space or his bandwidth to go faster, win races or win rounds or make money. He spends his brain space and his bandwidth on this engine dyno, and you're going to start doing whatever it takes to pick up another 10 horse, another 20 horse. And this is where I see the fail. This is what the engine looked like when they were winning. This is the power curve. Now, he worked on it really hard, and now this is what the power curve looks like. It's got 25 more horsepower, but the thing is a duck down low. Falls over pretty fast. This one's carrying on further. The dyno said it made 25 more horsepower, but it's really slow. So the dyno will give you results. The flow bench. I got the littlest one ever made. I got the little 110. I got the 300. I got the 600. I got the 750. I don't even remember what they were all called. Then I got then I owned the 1020. And then we bought Larry Widmer's flow bench back when he had Indyne, when he was making Boss 429 stuff go fast, and he was working on heads for Roger Penske and stuff. We bought his flow bench when he got sick and retired, and it had a 10-horse, 3-phase electric motor with a Paxton supercharger on it with 3 belts, and it would scream and sing, and he could turn it at about 32 inches of depression. And we spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning from that. And then when we got done with the 110, we got done with the 300, the 600, 750, and the 1020, and Larry's big giant Paxton supercharged flow bench. We ended up outrunning all of them. Now, and I'm going to tell you something. I love you guys with the flow benches and the engine dynos because I've had them. I've done it. I'm not telling you you don't need one. I'm not telling you don't do one. I'm just telling you don't get so married to the results. Take what it's telling you. This thing is telling you what happened. This is telling you what happened. This is telling you what happened. This is telling you what you got. This is doing what you tell it to do. This right here is doing what you tell it to. This right here is giving you the results of what you did. And this right here tells you how fast it'll turn without flipping out, tearing up, or wrecking. And this right here will tell you how much spring pressure you have or you don't. But it doesn't tell you what to do with the spring. And I know I wasted a lot of time, it sounds like, on this, but it is the information. I'm going to walk through this real quick. The engine dyno, I wasted 10 years trying to make more horsepower instead of figuring out how to go fast. The flow bench, made the ports too small, flowed a lot, went slow, made the ports too big, flowed hardly nothing, went slow, we had it too big. The balancing machine is made to balance taxi cab engines, in my opinion. I'm not bagging on anybody that sells them or owns them and gets their motors done, but if you got a set of parts that don't match and you send it to the balance guy and he does you a nice bob weight job and puts you at 50% balance, the engine will definitely be smoother. It will definitely be smoother. If you got heavy pistons on one end and light pistons on the other end, you're going to have a shaker. What I'm saying is that technology has run past that style that was developed to run an engine at 1,500 RPM, 2,000 RPM in taxi cabs for the last 50, 60 years. Cam Pro Plus doesn't tell you how to design a cam. It just tells you what your cam design has. It does not make you a cam designer. Cam Pro Plus has a set of bathroom scales that measures how heavy or how light your camshaft is in terms. 5-axis. You got to tell it what to do, man. It will not do anything. You can put a piston in that 5-axis machine and you can tell it to make me one of those and it'll say, huh? Seat and Guide, great machine. Made a lot of money with it. We put seats in. We made the seats too big. We made the seats too small. We put valves too big in it. We put the wrong seat in it. We made the port bigger so we could get a bigger valve in it. We went slower. We lost races. All of that because we thought this had an answer that was going to help us go faster. All it did was tell us what we did. It doesn't tell us what to do. Profilometer. This is a great example. I got me one. I made the cylinder smooth. I worked hard to get this smoother and smoother. I polished all the RVK out. got all these valleys out and make it smoother. Got all these peaks off, made it smoother. Thing burned oil, overheated. I tell you what, man, when you got you a cylinder honed that looks like this, when I had it looking like this little smooth one right here, this one here will run hot in a heartbeat because it can't hold oil, can't lubricate the pistons, it can't lubricate the rings. And there is some real science in here that you can look at on the internet and see. But just because you own the profilometer, that's what a pro uses to figure out what to do to get the results he wants. Spintron's another one. Don't buy a Spintron if you're not going to develop valve train parts or learn where you're missing a boat. If you've got a lot left to go on your engine program, this will be the last thing you buy. Spring testers, everybody has one. Everybody uses them. My opinion on a spring tester, that it does not tell you what you want to know. You put a spring in it, you pull it, you get the card that comes with the camshaft, you get the card that comes in with the spring, and it says 1.850 install height, 120 on the seat, 300 open pressure, coil bind, blah, blah, blah. Listen, those are just numbers for you to check and see if they put the right spring in the box. It doesn't tell you what to do with it. This spring tester right here, when we're running these new high lift cams and Milwaukee 8s and twin cams, is I like to put the spring in the spring tester and pull it all the way down to where it's stacked. And then I'll back it off to where I have room to coil bind for full lift, and then back it off the amount of lift I have in the cam, and it tells me the seat pressure. And that's something that you have to know in order to duplicate your performance and to make it live. Not to set, you don't want to set it up at when you get married to installed height or seat pressure, you're not even checking what really matters. What really matters is is the cam too big for that spring? Does it go too close to full lift? Does it go too close to coil bind? Make sure that it's installed at a height that can handle the cam you have in it. That's what matters. I'm going to change over real quick. Milwaukee 8 compensators. These are made from Harley. They're very, very hard, but they're very, very brittle. This goes on the crankshaft and dampens all that jackhammer stuff. These break. All the Harley shops I've seen have these break, and they have to warranty them a lot. And when you soup up the engine, you're going to break them. This is a billet steel part that we are selling right now, and this is made in the USA, and it is a really, really high quality part. It's made identical to this brittle part, but it is made out of some real high dollar steel in the USA, made in Michigan, USA, Motor City. Thank y'all for watching all this crazy stuff. I'm sorry if it didn't go exactly where you wanted it to. But this is just Tech Talk number 147. I was able to cover a lot of ground, talk about a lot of stuff. These right here represent 40 years of wasting money, spending money, learning stuff, losing learning, not learning, making mistakes. And I just wanted to share it with you. And if you please send me information, send me questions, PM me, message me, email me, george@starracing.com. I am checking my emails every day. Also, I look at your messages on here and give me feedback. What do you want to know about? Was this interesting at all to you? And how can I help you with that stuff? May God bless. Thank you all for watching. Please come back and let's look at together next Tuesday at Tech Talk number 148. Good night. May God bless.